What's up, guys? We're back here at Atlas Empire, so let's talk about troop levels and where we're at currently. This is my high level account, my Great Hall level 12, almost level 13 account. So this is my main account where I do tons and tons of walking and focus all my resources and time and energy on. You can see we've built up a decent amount of troops to level 7. So let's talk about first why we've built these troops up, what they're used for, and so forth. So the dragon. Dragon is currently not really that great of a troop anymore, but before the update about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, the dragon was hands down the best unit in the game. Anti-airs got increased to a range of 7 instead of 5, which now really kills the dragon and hurts them, puts them in a position where they're not useful, because if they die, they train for 30 minutes. Sometimes there's also a glitch where it takes 1 hour to train a dragon, so it's just a long time, and the dragons die very, very easy to these anti-air, the barrel rockets. So this is why we leveled up the dragon to level 7. The dragon was, hands down, the best unit in the game about 2 weeks ago. Currently, we have the Caterkillers. Caterkillers have been leveled up to level 7 as well. They were the best troop in the game. For a weekend, nothing could touch them. Caterkillers had an insane range buff, and no defenses could touch them. They're still insanely good right now. They are going to get slightly nerfed in the coming days, but overall, I do think that they are definitely worth upgrading. You see our recent attack videos. We're using a lot of Caterkillers to attack bases, and that's kind of the strategy. Yes, unfortunately, they do have a long train time of 4 minutes, but thankfully, they don't really die once you level them up. You can see we have 250 HP. That's a good amount of HP. The heal spell will actually help keep them alive as well. And if we ever get buffs on the heal spell, they will work even better with the Caterkillers. Next up, we have Golem. Golem at level 7. So, I'm not a huge fan of the Golem. I still think the Golem is in a bad position. I think the Golem has too little HP for what it's supposed to do. The Golem is supposed to be a just giant tank that soaks up damage. Well, unfortunately, the turrets and mortar will just disintegrate golems rather fast, even at current level 7 with 724 HP. Golem needs more HP. That's just my thoughts on it. Golem doesn't do his job well enough. I kind of regret leveling up the Golem, but it's something that you kind of have to do. Golem dies too easily. He takes too long to train, in my opinion. I'd like to see all the train times go down, or a way to boost up the training speed, like, watch an ad to double your training speed. That would definitely help out. But being a 3-minute train time for a Golem, when as soon as you drop the Golem down, you pretty much lost that Golem in the battle, because the Golem's gonna die. It doesn't matter if you heal him. It doesn't matter if you freeze the defense structures. The Golem's gonna die. It happens. Golems die. So, we also have frogs, or wartlocks, at level 7. And we did this because they get a lot of HP, and they are ranged damage units on defense structures. So you can see their damage doesn't look like it does much. Damage per second, 18. But they only cost 3 housing spaces, and they outrange defenses, or at least they used to outrange some defenses at certain angles. Right now, they're not that great. They lost some range. They are okay. You definitely want to combo them with like golems or glubs so that you can put something in front so these guys don't die. But they will shred defenses. They are a nice unit to use if you want to attack constantly. Since they only take 20 seconds to train, they are a lot faster to train, and you don't really care if they die that much. So that's a nice thing. They're kind of like mini Caterkillers. Weaker, faster train time Caterkillers is how you should kind of look at these warlocks. So overall, I think those are a good unit to have. Leveled up. Now we'll go to the Glub. I love the Glub. The Glub got buffed recently, and it got more damage per second. So we can see we're at 17 damage per second, which is a huge amount for a single troop, and it does an AoE damage. This unit will disintegrate any sentry units, sentry post units that are coming at you. So if you drop down a Glub, that will just disintegrate all those guys. You don't have to worry about sentry troops hurting any of your units. The Glub will also do a decent chunk of damage to buildings and walls, and it will hit multiple walls as well. So if you're having some wall issues, or you need to get through some walls, Glubs do a pretty decent job if you drop down a couple of them. Overall, they act as mini golems. I really think of them as mini golems because they have a lot of HP, so 200 HP for one housing space at this level. They also are great because they only take 10 seconds to train, so they're very fast train time, and you don't care if they die or not because 10 seconds. Next up, the strongest troop in the game, hands down, is the Tempest. So the damage per second is at 206 here. We're at currently level 8. This unit is amazing. Best DPS in the game, has range, blows everything up really quick. The only downside is the long train time. So 4 minutes is forever. And yes, these troops do die fairly easily. They do have a good chunk of HP at this level, 261, but they still do die, and it is quite painful when you lose troops and you have to train for 30 or 45 minutes because you lost them. But if the train time was reduced or we had a way to speed these things up constantly with like watching an ad, I would be using a ton of Tempest to just blow stuff up. Archers, we have archers at level 9. So archers are just your easy bread and butter, kind of everyone should have archers leveled up in my opinion. They're great. You want to get them high enough so they don't die to one mortar shot. When you are fighting bases, mortar is the archer's arch nemesis. Mortar will just kill archers, and they're all bunched up, so one mortar shot just blows up every single archer you have. If they can survive at least one shot, then you might be able to drop a heal spell down, you might be able to freeze the mortar, disable the mortar a little bit, and then retreat out of there. But if you are constantly getting one-shotted by the mortar, it really sucks, and anytime your archers come up to the mortar cannonball, it just dies. And normally you don't just lose one archer, you lose like 30 of them because you've dropped down a whole bunch, and yeah, the mortar just blows them all up. It sucks. So having the archer with a little bit more HP is very, very important. Unfortunately, the mortar grows better and stronger than the archers, so the archers, if they're fighting a comparable level mortar, will always die in one hit. The damage per second is really good though on archers. 25 damage per second is a really, really good. They also have a really quick train time of 10 seconds. So, easy troop to use. Definitely if you want to snipe off resources, this is the troop that you want to be using. If you don't care about trophies, a full group of archers is probably the best attacking strategy. Just going in and stealing all the loot that you could potentially get. And if some of them die, no big deal. 10 seconds train time. You can snipe off a lot of loot with archers. Next up, we have raiders. So originally, I didn't like raiders, but when the catakillers started becoming all powerful and everyone was like, hey, catakillers, this is what you need. They're great. Catakillers do a lot of damage. They're slow attacking. They kill defenses. But at that point, you might run out of time clearing bases. So I went in looking for troops that had high damage per second. And also that were fast to train. That is the Raider. The Raider does 45 damage per second at this current level. And you can see we can actually upgrade him and get him to level 7 and give him some more damage per second. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So now he goes up to 50 damage per second. We can also upgrade him one more time. $55 damage per second and 73 HP. The nice thing with the Raider is that the Raider has a little bit more HP than the archers, so that the Raider can survive the mortar shots. The Raider will be able to take roughly 2 mortar attacks always. Maybe if there's some super OP mortar that is like level 15, they might die in one hit. But if you're fighting a roughly fair and balanced mortar that is around the same level as your Raiders, they should survive 2 hits, maybe even 3 hits if it's a very weak one or if something funky happens with the game. I've definitely seen Raiders survive 3 hits in awkward situations, so I don't know what's going on with the HP and with the mortar splash damage. But yeah, I've seen it happen without any spells or any healing or anything like that. Yeah, so Raiders, great. They also are very, very fast. This could be a reason that they survive the mortar damage, is possibly the game AI thinks that the Raider is out of the range of the mortar splash damage since they're moving so quickly. So that could be a reason that these guys might be able to survive 3 mortar splash attacks. Overall, this unit is quite powerful and allow you to clean up bases once you've cleared off all the defenses. Great damage per second, decent health, fast train time. I like the Raider now. And everything else we have at level 1 or level 2. So you can see those are the units that we have trained up. The Rogue is going to get a buff in a few days. It's going to go down to 2 housing spaces, and it might make the Rogue a useful unit. But we'll have to see how she is after the buff. So currently I would just recommend holding on to her cards and not trading them in. But the Axemen, the Ram, and the Eaglet, I don't think have any purpose right now currently in the game. The Eaglet is a cool unit. Like the animations, the tornadoes that it makes is really cool. I like those tornadoes. I'll show you a battle that someone attacked my base with Eaglets, and it just looks really cool. But for damage per second and how much they cost, so it costs 4 housing spaces, and the low HP, it dies to literally everything. It's not something I like. I don't think the Eaglet is in a good spot. I think the Eaglet needs more HP, especially for 4 housing spaces. The damage per second is okay, but the HP needs to be a lot more. You don't want to die to 1 mortar shot. The Ram is just terrible right now. The AI attacks only walls. It was so much better when it attacked the walls, and then once the walls were open, it would attack the nearest building. Because you can see the damage per second is insane. 260 damage per second at level 1. That's a crazy amount of damage per second. It's a higher damage per second than the Tempest. So if this AI gets changed back to how it used to be in the old video, you can check out my Ram Spotlight video, that would mean the Ram is a good unit. They are also tweaking the Ram. The Ram is going to go down to 2 housing spaces in the next couple days. So we'll see what else happens. But unfortunately, the Ram also has a 2-minute train time, which is very, very bad. That's a long train time for a unit that just attacks walls. Thankfully, they did buff the HP significantly. Now the Ram doesn't die in 1 hit. So Ram has somewhat of a purpose now, maybe clearing out some walls and some higher end bases. But we're just not at that point yet where people have good enough walls where you really need to use Rams to attack them. And then the Axemen are just your standard blob. He's a guy, he just walks, he's got low HP, he dies to 2 mortar shots roughly. He does an okay amount of damage per second. He's really fast, he's 5 seconds, but unfortunately at the higher levels you start having 3 mortars, and mortars can pretty much hit every which way, and the splash damage is huge, so these guys just die. It's just very sad to see 100 Axemen go into a fight and then all die to 3 mortars very easily. So Axemen, if they got more HP, would definitely see a use. But as of now, they're just a little bit too weak. And overall, that's fine. There's some units that are just going to be weaker than others, in my opinion. Of course, leveling them up will make them stronger, but I don't think it's worth the book of trainings. So as we talked about these troops, it's all about these book of trainings. You can see we have 1 book left, and I play a lot. So people ask me, hey, do you spend money on the game? Do you like pay to win? Is that what you're doing? Are you gemming? No, the answer is no, I don't. I bought the builder subscription for $9.99, so I have the monthly subscription. So I have 2 workers. But what I do is I walk around a lot. So bare minimum 30 minutes every single day. Walking around collecting treasure chests, collecting loot, getting hammers, and so forth. Going to card dealers. I also have 3 accounts that we use. My wife has 1. I have 2 on my phone. And we use Outposts a lot. And we have a lot of friends in game, so we're using Outposts a lot. So you'll notice over here in our Outpost, we have a lot of legendary Outposts. So everyone on my Outpost list currently is a legendary one. And they're going to eventually be maxed out. You can see this one has 14 hours left, and it's not maxed out because we are sharing it with other people. So down in the bottom right, there's a share to friends, and you send it off to other people, and they will fill it up slowly but surely over those 14 hours. Once it gets closer to being mature, the time where you can open it up, it will be maxed out, and we will all get this great reward. Inside these Outposts, you get a lot of runes. So you see we have 1,400 runes. You'll get a lot of runes over time. So yes, it only goes to like 5, 6, 7 runes. But when you're opening up 10 or so outposts all the time, you're going to be getting almost like 100 runes a day. And then also there are the rune treasure chests out on the map. So you can see right there, there's one fairly close by. We're going to go grab that. I have the benefit of having a fairly large community. I live in San Diego, California. We have large populations, schools, and our walking area is, quite populated with stuff. We have huge housing communities, which end up giving us a good amount of spawns of resources. So I think the most that I've walked in one day was about 3 hours worth of walking. We've also done a little bit of driving, me and the wife, around the neighborhoods and to stores and such, and collecting hammers and items. So the main point is you don't need to spend money to play the game and to be very, very powerful. If we take a look at our stats up here, leaderboards, we have 3,936 trophies. That's a decent amount of trophies. I think we're in the top 50. Nope, not in the top 50 anymore. So we're 53rd place in the world currently. And then we're also in the top 10 for the empires. So the Crystal Eagles is our empire. And it's just simply by playing and walking around. Walking is the most important part of this game, and that's the thing that I like the most about the game, actually. So we're in quarantine roughly still in California for the coronavirus, and we can't really do too much, but we can walk around and exercise by walking around the block and exploring our neighborhoods. That's completely fine, and it definitely encouraged. This game pushes us to go walk and explore the neighborhoods more and just have fun and get exercise. So overall, before quarantine, we definitely gained some COVID weight, as most people have. We've probably gained 5 to 10 pounds in this last 6 to 12 months of whatever's been going on, Yeah, by walking and engaging with this game, we've lost some poundage. Nothing too crazy, maybe a pound or two, but we're definitely getting into better shape, and it is healthy for us to play a game like this, and it is encouraging. So that is part of the reason why I play this game and enjoy this game so much, is that it helps us stay fit, active, and sane in this crazy time of the coronavirus. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys later.